Alright, welcome back to the backmarker update. Today we're going to be looking at the F1 race, first race of F1 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Of course, I come from the US. Touring series are unfamiliar to me, so the most I have is watching F1, F2, and F3 last year, and I didn't watch the sprint races for F2 or F3. Sorry about that, but I'm going to try and give you a breakdown of the race highlights. We're going to look at who won, look at the finishing results of the back teams, and then we're going to look at the point scenario, give you some general thoughts about the race, and then pack up and head to the next race at Saudi Arabia. So for the highlights, nothing really happened that much. There was an incident with one of the Sauber teams on pit road. I think it was Bottas. He pitted from 19th, had an issue with his front, I believe his front left tire. Had some smoke coming from it. They had to wait for a little while, and then they had to put it back on and send him back out. So Sauber not off to a good start. As we'll see, their finishing results were pretty mediocre to non-existent. But what do you mean? I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, it's a new team. Well, not a new team, but a new rebranded team. Usually rebrands aren't going to be that swell. So, Max Verstappen won the race, no surprise there. Dominant last year, dominant this year, setting up a nice title defense. I mean, he's my pick to win. I mean, I don't really know much about the other contenders other than I think that him and his teammate Perez did a pretty good 1-2 punch here to put up a 1-2 solid defense for next year. But we'll look at the other backmarker teams. There weren't any caution cars, even though I believe that there should have been for the incident when I think it was the Ferrari and the Mercedes car got together and shot off the track. I think that should have brought out a caution car, but then again, don't really know much about why the caution cars come out unless there's a big wreck, so don't really know if minimal contact brings them out or not. I guess it wasn't severe enough to bring out a caution. No penalties as of yet as well on the right hand side. Don't have any penalties coming out, but if there are any announcements, I'm going to definitely post a video talking about the penalties if there are any. Alright, so looking at our back markers, we're going to go down the row by team. So first going in numerical order, we'll start with the Williams cars. Both of them, -2. Logan Sargent started 18th, finished last place, 2 laps down. I mean, what is to say besides Williams is consistently the worst? But Alexander Albon started 13th, finished 15th, again underperforming the equipment. I always say for these high-tier sports organizations, the gains are important. If you finish above where you started, that means you outperform the equipment. Like when you qualify, that's the equipment getting you your qualification. If you finish higher than your equipment, then that proves that you deserve better equipment in the future. If you finish below your equipment, that means that you are not deserving of your equipment, or you're just having a bad day. In this case, I think Albon was just having a bad day, but Logan Sargent, he's consistently worse than where he starts, so no surprise there. Moving on to the RB cars, Daniel Ricciardo started 14th, up to 13th. So, of course, Daniel Ricciardo, as we know, is an overachiever. He's an F1 talent worth talking about, worth noticing, but he has been here before. His teammate, however, Yuki Tsunoda, started 11th, finished 14th, -3, had just a mediocre day, didn't really do that much. There was radio chatter about him following his teammate. He wanted to pass his teammate, but couldn't, so he just didn't have a faster car and also just didn't have enough speed or in him to pass his teammate Ricciardo for 13th place. Still wouldn't have done anything. He still would have been -2, so still underperforming in his equipment. Alright, next in line is the Haas cars. Kevin Magnussen started 15th, finished 12th, almost got into the top 10. Great day for Magnussen. He's trying to prove himself, trying to keep his ride, even though I think he's still going to get signed off in 2025 and dropped for another driver. Him and his teammate Hulkenberg are basically just trying to battle to see who will be dropped in 2025. My money's on Hulkenberg, but Magnussen is also pretty terrible. So even though this +3 is pretty well, he's still outperforming his Haas equipment. Haas is consistently now in a fight for Williams for worst team on the grid, and right now Magnussen is just trying to stay above his teammate Hulkenberg. who had the worst performance of the backmarker cars of the night. Started top 10, finished 16th outside the top 15, -6. That's just an absolute slap in the face to Hulkenberg and the team. You started in the top 10, you should at least try and stay in the top 10, but no. You got your team a top 10 hopeful potential, and then you just squandered it. -6, just a terrible day for Hulkenberg. Then our last team, Kick Sauber. As I've talked about, Bottas pitted from 19th. He finished 19th after the damage to the left front wheel, the issue with the left front wheel smoking. Started 16th, finished 19th, -3. He's just trying to ride it out. I can't say he's worse than the equipment. I think he's just riding it out to retirement. I think he's going to retire at the end of the year. I think that's pretty much confirmed to be happening at the end of the year. And I think Bottas is just riding along, just trying to enjoy himself in his last year. As for his teammate, Jay-Z, in the 24 for Kick Sauber, started 17th, finished 11th, almost got a top 10 finish. I was rooting for him in those last final laps to get around Stroll, but just wasn't going to happen. But +6 on the day matches the worst performance of the day of -6. +6 for Jay-Z. He's given Sauber some good runs here. I hope he keeps it up. Looking at the points, obviously it's just the top 10 from this race because it's the first race, so nothing to say about these points. Verstappen wins, Perez and Verstappen 1-2 sweep by Red Bull. Then we have the two Ferrari cars, Sainz and Leclerc. Leclerc started falling late but was able to battle back. Russell just consistently stayed in the top 5, didn't really do anything, wasn't really contending for the win, but was just trying to keep his position. Then we have the two McLarens, 6th and 8th. Solid days. Hamilton fell back and was able to get back up to 7th place. And then the two Aston Martin cars, Fernando Alonso, solid performance as usual. Lance Stroll, consistently just mediocre. Alright, and that's going to do it. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching our F1 Bahrain first race Grand Prix backmarker update. Like if you like, dislike if you don't, subscribe if you like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Next race. Toodaloo!